Hey guys, Dylan Tommy here. I'm going to run through all the aquariums today and do a quick update. We'll get this going here since lots of things have changed in these tanks and it's cool to take a look at them. Check out the new crypts I have in this tank. Kind of just threw them in there, buried it amongst the ceramic log that I have in the tank. And they're okay. There's two different kinds of crypts coming up inside there. And I have another one here, kind of just buried amongst that rock. That's actually a new rock too. Changed up the look of the tank a bit. All these tanks have had significant changes, so that's why we're cruising. Definitely wanted to take a good look at some of the crypts coming up in this tank because they're looking great as far as their color and their good growth. And why not look at the baby tiers because they're surviving. I'm really surprised that they're doing so well. You know, it's not really the thinnest substrate, and got a lot of dense gravel before we get to any dirt. This is a layered tank. There is a thick mud bed underneath, but as far as them rooting out and spreading out, as far as their carpet, it's not really happening. They're surviving, they're growing upwards, they're just not carpeting like I'd like them to. But I do have them spread throughout, and they are staying alive. Check them out. I even have them over on this side, and they're actually growing out pretty well. This is a fairly large one over on this side. But not carpeting out, just growing up like stems. And I think that's cool. Why not? We'll let them grow out like that in this tank. We'll see what they do naturally. The fish are looking great in here. They do well. The tank's well maintained, so the fish are very healthy. I noticed the rams have really paired up. The two biggest rams, this female and then the male, who I don't know where he is, battles with this other little subdominant male who's hiding out over here behind the Amazon sword. He's often chased by both that other female and the dominant male. And when I show you the dominant male, you'll see why. Because he looks like a brute. He just looks so awesome. I mean, she's cool. She's kind of unsure where she wants to be because you see her kind of hanging right in the middle. Not too sure if she wants to be with this guy who dominates the foliage and he looks awesome and he's just an awesomely beautiful fish, or that young little guy who's not too sure. It's funny, this fish has less color but more finnage and certainly more posture. Look at him, he's got a lot of character to him. He's willing to run the show and dominate the tank. But I like the way he's grown out, looking really good. It's funny, where is his color, you know? Both of these fish really look bizarre, and for a while I thought they were both females. But he's definitely gained the dominant spot, gained the dominant role, and you can kind of tell he's a male. But yeah, I wanted to cruise the tank. Like I said, they're looking great. Everything on this side's looking really great. The swords, the Ludwigia, and I thought to trim it. See how it's kind of coming up past the swords here? A couple little stems in different areas, but I think I'll let it grow until a lot of this side grows out. I had added a little crypt down here and kind of threw some things in here throughout. It's actually some new plants back there that someone had given me, and I totally forgot the name right now. So just some different things added to the tank, as long as it's not a tank full of Rotalo like it has been. Like I said, trying new things in the large planet tank, and I even got some baby tears in here, and they're not dying off. So like I said, doing a little experimenting with the natural aquatics. You guys know that I don't run CO2 or dose fertilizers, and this tank's been planted for well over 2 years now. We're going off the nutrients that are just kind of left beneath that layered substrate, and we're growing, we're thriving here. Definitely, as far as oldest system, this tank is one of my oldest systems, this large 55 gallon, and then right after that would be this 20 long here, which has pretty much been a shrimp tank since I had the cichlids in here, the Mbuna that are in my large tank nowadays. You guys seen the Mbuna when they were tiny 1 centimeter fish. They lived in this 20 long at one point, if you can believe that. And it's been planted ever since with the Sagittaria some Rotala. I have all this wisteria in here now, and clipped a lot of things, tried to clean it up, and it is what it is. I think I'd like to add some fish to that tank. I've slowly been removing a lot of the shrimp out of this tank and either spreading it out into the other shrimp tank I have over here, which has actually had a lot more care lately. It looks much better than it has been. I got rid of a lot of the blackbeard algae that was kind of growing all over this moss here. I like the way this moss was looking, kind of growing on the shell, and wanted to fight that BBA. So the tank got an extra water change, a little bit more maintenance, and tried to clean it up. And it's looking a lot better now. And like I said, I had added some extra shrimp, and been spreading the shrimp out throughout the fish room. Like they're in the crebensis tank. I don't know how many are left in here, but I've pretty much added 5 or 6 adult shrimp to every single one of my tanks. Mojo has some shrimp living in here with him now, and I think it really helps to maintain the tank. They feed off a lot of the debris, and definitely are beneficial to the habitat. What are you doing, Mo? Mo's great. Mo's been with me for a while too. Probably one of the longest inhabitants I've had. Well over 2 years. I can check the video. It's at least 2.5 years now. That's one of the good things about, you know, creating YouTube videos and documenting your fish room, is you can really get a specific date on certain events, because you say, I made an update that day. I created a video that day. So I really enjoyed that aspect of you know, sharing what I'm doing in the fish room with you guys, and just watching it grow. Like the guppy tank, you know, you guys saw them when they were just a pair of fancy guppies in here living with the lone Bashari, and now we got an entire community that's you know, grown out of 2 fish, and I love it. As the tank's grown and evolved, and these things have changed inside this fish room. One thing to mention in this tank, I put this big hunk of driftwood in here and spread out the moss. But as things change in the tank, so do the fish. The fish grow and evolve and create progeny, and it's a cool fish keeping experience. I know I've said that in the past, and I've definitely been having fun with these guppies here. But I do change things, and it's valuable to, you know, to document it, to see the evolution of these tanks and see how they grow. This tank's certainly been through many changes as far as the growth of all the fry, how they were once fry, and of all the plants in this tank. It's really coming into its own. These wisteria plants in here are out of control. And this tank hasn't had any maintenance this week whatsoever. It's actually due for a water change. And I got some beautiful green growth on all this vegetation. I did add some shrimp to this tank too. If we could take a look. Oh, a little Oto cat hanging in there. I have 2 Oto cats. One of them are in this zebra tank here, and I got the other guy up here in this tank, which has definitely grown out, even though I've trimmed it a lot. Added a couple things, added some crypts, throw them right into that ceramic log, and we'll see how they grow out. It looks kind of cool, kind of just sticking out of the hole of that ceramic log. But yeah, I got another Otocinclus cat in this tank, and also a Siamese algae eater, and I think they do well with all the Danios, the leopards and the zebras. Pretty cool tank. I've always enjoyed maintaining the habitat and trying different plants and trying different things, like growing crypts out of ceramic logs and, you know, just playing with the scape. So the fish, you know, often come second with me, but I do enjoy keeping beautiful species. I was trying to find some shrimp because I know they're living in most of these tanks, and you know, they find their spot, they find themselves a suitable place to hang out and be safe, and they survive. But definitely wanted to cruise the fish room tonight. I get this other tank that's really been growing out as far as plants, and all the debris that was on the algae I had pulled out of other tanks kind of got plopped in here, and it was really loaded with BBA and all kinds of debris. And the shrimp that I had put in this tank really did a great job at, you know, cleaning out everything off these plants. I mean, you take a look at this moss, it looks so healthy, just ready to reach for light. Everything looks really green in this tank too. And the one thing is I don't see any shrimp right now. I say this is one of the tanks that has the most red shrimp out of all the new tanks that I've put these red cherry shrimp in. And it's cool. It seems like all these planted tanks have at one time or another turned into a shrimp colony. And it's always healthy for the habitat, I find, whether you add fish or not. I mean, I can always add something to this tank. Right now all I have in here is a little algae eater, and I think he's really cool. He's been growing up wonderfully in this tank. I don't see him right now. I know he's getting big, so he's been having a hard time hiding, but I still don't see him. Oh, there goes this shrimp. Alright, that's that tank. Wanted to take a quick look at it. And we'll finish it off in here with the Burchardies. This tank's growing out just fine. And as far as their behaviors and things to mention, as far as the courtship is, I'm not totally sure what's going on. This fish right here has been alternating between the two smaller Burchardies that live on opposite sides of the tank. I have a smaller Burchardi that lives on this side of the tank, and I always believed it to be another male. And I have another Burchardi that lives over here underneath this slate, which I always believed to be, you know, the prime spot for breeding. And both of these fish seem interested in spawning, and I'm just not sure of the dynamic. I'm questioning whether this is the female now. This larger fish is just not completely sure which male she wants to spawn with. I mean, I've questioned sex on these fish many times, and it's been so bizarre to watch these behaviors. Like I said, I've watched this larger Nolamprologus Burchardi go back and forth between these two separate fish that I have in the tank. The one that has set up territory on this side of the tank and has almost created, you know, a spawning bed beneath the shells, and in that area. And then this larger fish always has run the tank, been the most dominant fish in the entire tank, so much that, you know, it previously brutalized other fish. So it's hard to make what's going on with these behaviors. I guess time will tell, and if we see a recent batch of young fry, we'll know that there's been spawning behavior. But like I said, still not sure of sex. Like I said, they're displaying, they're acting like they want to breed, being defensive and creating territories. But it seems like this larger fish just doesn't know which one to choose. Beyond what's going on with the Burchardi, because they've pretty much territorialized this, you know, entire side of the tank, the Julia chromas have completely fled up into the tops of the tanks where they can't be seen. They're up here hiding amongst, camouflaged in the darkness. And they're safe, they're growing out, you know, very healthy, they're getting so big. I think about having to move them into a larger tank. And I noticed they also swim upside down against the surface of the water. If you look at this guy right here, he's kind of hanging out underneath the filter. I don't know if I can get him in focus, but he's swimming upside down. He usually does. He hangs out underneath this filter and swims upside down. Oh. Not very good photography, I'm sorry about that. And we'll get back down here and check out the Burchardi. Maybe he's not having it. But we're still checking him out. We're still seeing what's going on in here. It would be interesting if we had, you know, 2 separate batches of new young fry. But I think this might be the female actually. And she's just not sure which young male, you know, will entice her to spawn. I really don't know. Like I said, I've been very confused with the dynamic in this tank. I guess we'll know when they do it. That's pretty much where I'm at. And I enjoy observing the behaviors and, you know, trying to make of it what I will. But thanks for hanging, guys. I appreciate you spending time with me in the fish room. And we will see. Hopefully I'll eventually have some Brochardi fry. We never know. I've been hopeful for that for some time now. And just last week I saw this fish being so friendly on this side of the tank, you know, as if this was going to happen over here, you know. It's very bizarre to watch this fish go back and forth. He's playing both sides, or she's playing both sides. You guys have a good one. I'll keep you updated. You guys tank on. Peace.